Why is it important to map the ocean floor? Why is it necessary to know the deepest parts of the ocean waters if most of us can't exactly go there? Definitely, cars can't drive there. So, who needs to know this information? Well, there's a couple good reasons. First off, boats need to safely navigate ocean waters. Running into a seamount would cause a wreck. Running into a shallow part of the water would cause a wreck. A long time ago, boats would travel across the waters and not know exactly where they were going. Well, that could be dangerous because your boat would get stuck and then the waves would take over. Or if you wreck, then the water fills the boat from the bottom and you're in danger. So it became something people needed to know. A long time ago, people would take a rope that they had tied in a increment of knots. You would lower the rope into the water, wait for it to thud and hit the ocean floor, and count how many knots were submerged, and that's how deep your water was. That's a pretty um, loosely based measurement and not precise enough. And so now this sonar method is used. So that device, as you saw in the last video, sends a high pitched noise from the boat or from a submarine. And just like you would, scream into a cave to see how quickly your echo returns, the device would measure how quickly the noise echoes back. So that is how sonar is used, and that's the history of that. But those maps can be so useful to monitor fish and other wildlife that gather in certain areas. We know that there's overfishing happening. We know that there are some top predators that the numbers are disappearing. To watch what fish can do in certain areas, they also can populate in certain areas, and it seems like we wouldn't be able to see that on a map, but we can. For example, healthy coral reefs should be growing taller. Every year the coral should generate new coral, very small amounts, but a coral reef should grow taller. An unhealthy coral reef that is dying would shrink. And so if we measure each year, every couple of years, we should monitor the health of coral reefs that way. Oceanographers can find and monitor active underwater volcanoes in order to prepare for tsunamis. Monitoring underwater volcanoes can also help us understand how seamounts are developing. But tsunamis are something we'll talk about later. But tsunamis, though here in Virginia, you may not think about it. We know that other parts of the world are very concerned about tsunamis and need to monitor because these underwater volcanoes and earthquakes then cause these enormous waves, which are called tsunamis. Very dangerous on land. Another reason to monitor and keep accurate ocean floor maps is that historians and treasure hunters want to find sunken boats, airplanes, or even submarines. So if you get a really good reading, you might see the outline of something that then divers want to go down and explore. But big, big money is in mining for oil. Oil is used to create gasoline for cars, and there's a lot of money in that. And so we can actually mine oil in the ocean in certain areas, and these resources can bring in billions of dollars. And so this thing here is called an oil rig, and it has a pipe that pumps oil out. And so to know where to dig, you've got to know the ocean floor. We can talk more about oil when we talk about rocks. But you might also be interested in knowing that between continents, pipelines carry communication cables, especially internet cables. About 99% of all international data is carried and transmitted by wires right at the bottom of the ocean. And can you imagine that one needed to be repaired? Well, they'd need to know where they laid it. So it's important to keep good maps. So that's some of the reasons why you kind of need to know that we have good reasons for mapping the ocean floor. And we'll keep going on now to reviewing the ocean floor parts.